Hello everybody, I'm Kevin Kunkel and I've spent many years as a Fortune 500 process secret. People that know me have brought me into different parts of their business to take a step back and look at how we can fix the processes that we have today. My history, my background is all around process. From the day that I entered into the engineering professional world, I've always looked at processes and tried to find a way to make it easier on myself. Because of that, I've created better and better processes that help myself and all my colleagues as well. From that, people encouraged me to become a Six Sigma black belt. So I did. I loved it. I spent 3 years as a Six Sigma black belt. I'm probably the most trained person on Six Sigma. I had 2 rounds of training for green belt and 3 rounds of training for black belt. Some businesses have gone away from Six Sigma, and I also agree with that. The number crunching that was Six Sigma, I think, is being replaced with big data. The philosophy around Six Sigma is still what is needed. The process improvement and the process optimization based on data that you've been given, that is what's still critical. Whether or not it's Minitab or not, that's up to you. I jumped around from different parts of the business, from applications to product line to engineering execution, or even training and development. They've brought me in to change the processes to make life easier. And it all came down to the same thing. Engineers as a whole make things difficult. The reason why that engineers like to make things difficult is because they think it's so complicated. They take this widget and then they redesign that widget over and over and over and over again in order to make the best widget possible. Well, that mentality is anti looking at the big picture. And that's all it takes in order to develop the best process, is you have to take a step back and say, what is the right thing for the company? And that's hard to do when engineers want to look at the details and redesign the details. That's what sets me apart from engineers and other process improvers, is I know how to get into the details with those engineers, but then taking a step back and looking at the overall process and what is good for the overall business. That's the key. I like to call myself a freelance engineer. So what a freelance engineer does is they say, okay, you're giving me a task that I need to do 4 hours a week, every week, and all year round. Well, that's boring. So what I'm going to do as a freelance engineer is maybe I'll develop a macro that pulls the data for me and resorts it in a way that I only now have to spend 20 minutes to do what used to take 4 hours. That's a freelance engineer. They're looking at the bigger picture and saying, how do I make life easier for me? And that's what I do, is I'll come into your business, I will look at what the current processes are, and then take a step back and say, is this the right thing for your business? If not, let's change it. And we'll be the change advocate to pull that process forward. So let's take a look at a detailed example. If we look at the world of configuration management, it is there to make sure that all the different configurations work together as a whole. It is also there to look at change management and make sure that your change is being done correctly. But let's take a step back. Is your change management adding value at the same rate that you're paying for it? These are good questions. I want to investigate that for your company. Another example is direct material cost out. Well, what is that? That's when big business is measured on how much material they can either remove or bring in a cheaper version of that material in order to reduce the overall cost of the product, right? So if I take a dishwasher and what was metal is now parts of plastic, I've done direct material cost out. So I take a step back and I look at the bigger picture. Is that direct material cost out costing you more money up front in order to make that change? Or is there actually value being done? Replacing metal parts with plastic parts might sound right for the bottom line, but the problem is industry is not looking at the bigger picture. What they are not noticing is the cost that it took in order to make the change in engineering and drafting and product line and all these other things. Those have now created a bigger expense than the savings that was the change of the part from metal to plastic. On top of that, they're not looking at the quality issues that those plastic parts are now creating. So what's happening is the company is losing money over time. I call looking at all the different costs associated with that one change system cost. And if you want to learn more about system cost, please reach out to us at stepnexttraining.com. And we can look at whether or not these changes that are made in silos are actually good for the overall company. And that's what Step Next Training can do, is we can come in and consult with your business to break down the different processes that are going across different silos and allow the best process to bubble up. We can look at all the current processes and take out all the steps that are not needed for the engineer to do real engineering. I'd like to help your business get to a point where your engineers feel like freelancers, where they can take control of their small processes. That is what is going to make a significant change to your overall profit and overall engineering budget, is seeing your engineers work as if they can change their own processes. So thanks for watching, and subscribe down below, because I'm going to be releasing video after video of details of all these different process changes that we can bring to your company. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.